Hello. Welcome. I'm the Reverend William Levwood, the minister here at Accotink Unitarian Universalist Church. My pronouns are he and him. This morning we have hymnals under your chairs, so I just want to let you know that those are there. If you would like to use them, we'll also have the lyrics on the screen. As we begin our service, I invite you to silence your phone. If you're in person, close the other windows on your computer. If you're at home, take a deep breath and center yourself for worship. We open and welcome to the ancestral people of this land, acknowledging that our church, like all of Burke, rests on the unceded territory of the Manahoac tribe of the Great Sioux Nation. We seek healing and the realization of justice with the people of this land who live on in their descendants, the present-day members of the Monacan Indian Nation, the Patawomic Indian Tribe of Virginia, and the Piscataway Indian Nation. We honor the ancestors as we move toward healing so that all together shall one day know full justice. I've been reading that book, the Book of Delights, because next year's Soul Matters theme in June is delight. Getting a head start. And also, I just need more delight in my life. I don't know about you. So, Gay writes, "Now returning from my errands, walking up Belton Way, as I approached 3rd, I saw something bright. Maybe an empty bag of Grippos or something on the curb. But as I got closer, sure enough, it was some kind of gorgeous flower. Mostly a red I don't think I actually have words for. A red I've maybe only ever seen in this flower, growing out of the crack between the curb and the asphalt street at the terminus of Belton Way. The gold, a corona around the petals, and there are a few flecks throughout, the way people will have freckles in their eyes or glints of lightning in their pupils. And beside this flower, or kin with it, growing from the same stem as the blazing, is an as yet unwrapped bud, greenish, with the least hint of yellow, shining in the breeze, on the verge, I imagine, of exploding."
Good morning. Welcome to Accotink Unitarian Universalist Church. I'm Sheila Doles, and my pronouns are she, her, and hers. I'm happy to be your worship associate today. This congregation is a welcoming and inclusive community that seeks to create a more just and compassionate world. If you're new to Accotink and would like to talk more about this church, our minister, Rev. William Levwood, will be hosting a Meet the Minister chat in his office at 11:30 today. Whether you're a longtime member or a newcomer or something in between, we encourage you to stay for our social hour, online and in person, immediately after this service. We're so delighted that you decided to join us today. Welcome.
This morning, we celebrate together our first principle, the inherent worth and dignity of each and every person, and also the connections and care we find when we gather together in community. And we do this by sharing in a UU ceremony known as the Flower Communion. Many Unitarian Universalist churches conclude their church year, that's the 10 months from early fall until late spring, with this Flower Communion. We're grateful to Foothills Unitarian Church in Fort Collins, Colorado, for this video telling us the story of Flower Communion.
Nearly 100 years ago, the Unitarian minister Norbert Chopek offered his Czechoslovakian congregation a ritual to respond to their questions about how to be a community that welcomed rather than suppressed diversity. Czechoslovakia was a country formed in the aftermath of war. Struggling just 5 years after the end of that war with questions of belonging and identity, trust and anxiety. Čopak's ritual took the traditional bread and wine communion that his community was too heretical for and too resistant to these usual symbols and played with this ritual. He turned instead to the beauty of nature all around them and invited each of his congregants to find a flower and bring it to the church one Sunday. That each person would find the flower that was beautiful to them was a symbol of their affirmation that each of us has a piece of the truth, our unique sense of what beauty means. On their way into the church, his congregation was in turn invited, each of them, to place that flower in a vase, which symbolized their free choice to enter into community alongside all the other people that saw beauty in their own way, symbolized by their flowers placed there as well. A free church where people freely choose to walk together across their differences. Once everyone had gathered, they'd bring the vase forward. Then the minister, Čopak, he would bless it. And then he'd invite everyone to choose a flower to take home with them, but just not the one that they came with. Again, this free choice affirmed each person's choice to be blessed by another and to receive with an open heart their different understandings of beauty and to feel connected rather than divided by this difference. In this moment where so many forces seek to divide people, to play on our fears of differences and our anxieties of the other, here we remember that we freely choose to walk together and to be blessed by the differences between us and to see these differences as beauty.
This morning, we're going to share a poem put together by poet Kwame Alexander from submissions by more than 30 people, commissioned to honor teachers before the tragedy in Uvalde, Texas. But a few later submissions do incorporate imagery that speak to our collective grief. We've also adapted the poem slightly for length. You can find the complete poem on NPR. In this service today, we'll be sharing the poem in 2 parts. Now, while the poem is written for school teachers, our intent is to include nurturers of all kinds. From the 53-year-old Andre McNeil, who on May 14th was at Tops Supermarket in Buffalo picking up a surprise birthday cake for his son, to all the parents and grandparents and aunts and uncles and lovers and guides of children of all kinds. From Robb Elementary School teachers Irma Garcia and Eva Morales to all the teachers who continue to show up day in and day out to love and guide our children. This poem is for all of you and for all of our children as well.
A crowdsourced poem by Kwame Alexander, Who Will Clean Out the Desks? Teachers make a dent, a soft curve in the gray matter, a crevice where light shines in, a seed to germinate.
They open eyes, kick open imagination, make us see, encourage change of mind and change of heart. not to force the walking of a single path, but the revelation of many.
Teachers make and shape. They weave through the constraints on their vision, creating and molding the students.
Teachers celebrate. Teachers conquer hate and foster expectation. Teachers make light go where darkness has resided. Make chrysanthemums of wildflower seeds, tall stems, and fragile blossoms exploding in their reach.
They make statements that linger long after the lessons have been absorbed, like Mrs. Tucker, who wrote, "Amy is like a ray of sunshine on a cloudy day on my first grade report card." Teachers bring forth dreamers and thinkers.
They make us stretch, make us wake up, make us realize compassion, make us feel, make us cry, make us laugh, make us understand our connection, make us grateful.
Teachers make bad days into good, make the journey as meaningful as the destination, make reading rewarding, make good trouble.
Teachers make decisions, around 1,500 a day. What to say, how to say it, and when. Teachers make love out of everything.
Teachers make me feel special, like I am safe. Teachers make sense of a jumble of eighth notes and then quarter notes and a smear of dark chords. They make music. A teacher is nothing without a student, as is a farmer without a field. A mind rich with knowledge, a teacher is nothing when stripped of their power, as is a train when emptied of fuel, censored and idle.
We are here because teachers make students. From saplings to majestic trees of potential, they make us whole. They make impressions, subtle hands that make themselves available to guide us on this trail of woe and wonder.
Teachers leave the door open for us to walk through, but when the last bell rings, when the classroom is locked down, who will clean out all the desks? The math worksheets, the missing Lego, the one goldfish cracker, the paper clips and crumpled Post-its that say, "I love you."
The pencil boxes and old erasers, the one Pokemon card, the empty glue stick, the dusty Harry Potter mask, the dirt-smudged backpacks. At the end of the day, who will help the teachers prepare for the next? Who will make a home for the heavy hearts, for the sacred ones who can't stop thinking about those 19 desks, those 19 backpacks, those 19 summer vacations, those 19 new pairs of sandals, those 19 next school years and school years after that, and after that, and after that.
Teachers don't let us give up on the words. They help us find them. They help us find ourselves. Just breathe and keep being kind to the children is their mantra.
Who will hold them in kind and caring arms when the world is not so beautiful? When the summer burns red, when there are no more children to be kind to? I say, let it be us, because teachers matter. I know right now we want so much for the world to be different, and it isn't different yet, not in the way it needs to be. But we will make it different. We will hold the teachers who hold the children in kind and caring arms. We will protect them. I want to tell you about poet and essayist Ross Gay, who observed on a day in September a statue holding a gun. He credits Gina Osmond's book, Public Figures, for alerting him to the ubiquity of the gun, the weapon, in the hands of our statues. You will probably notice he continues in public squares often and near city halls and courthouses, which is an unambiguous assertion of cultural values, lest that slip by. Gay then describes a different scene on a different day, later that same year in May, of a different statue, one of Hoagy Carmichael, musical composer of Stardust, Heart and Soul, Georgia on My Mind. Gay describes Carmichael leaning over his piano, almost embracing it, his hat tilted back on his head, his outstretched hand atop the piano, open just enough for a flower, or some flowers, to fit into it, which someone or someones have decided they should. These someones, Gay continues, have slid a big explosive allium, probably pilfered from a nearby drift, into his soft fist. Gay writes that the allium is such a fortuitous flower for many reasons, but in this case because it looks like a wand or some other magical and pointedly non-martial baton. He writes that there was also another flower that he doesn't know the name of, though it is made of a torrent of petite violet bells. And the third flower, also unknown to him, yellow, making him realize that this collaborative effort was endowing Hoagy not only with that wand-centric bouquet, but with a beautifully composed one, with complementary shapes and colors. Gay writes that seeing this, he was reminded how often, in fact, we have the impulse to adorn statues, our public figures, with flowers, or sometimes coins or fruit. Gay notes never having seen a public statue adorned with a gun not by the sculptor. He continues, which is probably to say not at the behest of the commissioner who is wealthy, who benefits in some very short-sighted way by the union of public figures and weapons. And he concludes with these three sentences. I suspect this statue adorning impulse, whether or not we know who the public figure is evidence. More evidence that our inclination, our nature, is to communicate the beautiful and the fragrant however we can, to make of the world a bouquet or a vase. My friends, we are called to take the guns out of the hands of our statues, out of the hands of our young men, out of our collective hands, and instead make of the world a bouquet of complementary shapes and colors, of pinks and purples and yellows, of fuchsia spheres atop tall upright stems surrounded by pale violet bells, and shot through, yes, shot through with the contrasting yellow gold of the sunflower or the bright yellow of a handful of dandelions. Like Ross Gay, may we decree that all new statues must have in their hands flowers, or shovels, or babies, or seedlings, or chinchillas. We could go on like this for a while, he writes. But never again, never ever guns. I decree it, he writes, and also decree the removal of the already extant guns. Let the emptiness our war heroes carry be the metaphor for a while. And I say, oh, that we could decree the removal of guns from all the statues. Better yet, that we could decree the removal of guns from all of our hands. You might think this is a fanciful vision, a naive dream, but it's not. It's not mere fancy or fantasy. This is a vision we can make real. There is widespread support for common sense gun laws, for universal background checks, for the banning of assault-style weapons, for extreme risk protection orders. And this is also a vision that calls us to fund community violence intervention programs. We know that more guns won't make us safe, that arming teachers won't make us safe, that more police officers in schools haven't made us safe. In fact, research by Matthew Mayer and Shane Jimerson from Rutgers and UC Santa Barbara, respectively, show that by cultivating students' social and emotional health, connecting them to community resources of support, and being more responsive to their needs, that's how we take the guns out of their hands. And in their place, in our hands, in all of our hands, we can place flowers to make a bouquet, or seedlings and shovels to make a garden, or babies. We can hold babies in our arms, beautiful babies who will live to a ripe old age, leaving us in their ripeness, not before. Leaving us like beautiful flowers fully blossomed, the petals full before falling gently, one by one, to blanket the earth in beauty and in blessing. So friends, let's make this vision real. First, let's ritualize our intention by making one beautiful communal flower, placing your petals gently, one by one, to make a flower blooming with beauty and blessings. I invite you in a moment to take your petals, the petals you've written words on, words like compassion and love, like stretch and grow, like care and nurture and trust. Take those petals and bring them to the front, as together we make a communal flower bloom with beauty and blessings.
I invite you now to stand and extend your arms if you're here in the sanctuary, and extend your hands at home if you're watching us online. Join now in our community blessing with these words of David Bumbaugh. This church is dedicated to the proposition that behind all our differences and beneath all our diversity, there is a unity that makes us one and binds us forever together in spite of time, death, and the space between the stars. We pause now in silent witness to that unity.